Hey fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. If you are watching this real time, it's because you're supporting us through either Patreon or YouTube, or do the Amazon Prime guys get it for real time too? Yeah, or for free by linking your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. So honestly, it costs nothing if you're a Prime member, and I just looked this up. You are a Prime member, I checked. So link your Prime account to your Twitch Prime account. We get paid. It costs you nothing. You get this real time, and we're going to run your name below the show video, and people are going to see that you're a Prime member supporting us on Twitch Prime. Today's question from Patreon from Sam Naji. Are AAA publishers fighting an unwinnable battle amongst themselves to create ever bigger games, ever longer games, ever more complex games? Would it make more sense to occasionally give studios the freedom to create new IP instead of grinding on sequel after sequel? When every big budget game is focus grouped to hell and back, isn't there a danger of everything being the same? With so much focus on immediate profits, isn't the industry at risk of becoming creatively bankrupt? There is no original content. Everything is derivative. And so you tell me, like, is Call of Duty derivative from Battlefield? Are they the same game? Are they different enough? Is, Cyberpunk 2077 derivative from GTA? I mean, it is, not identical, but everything is kind of derivative. And, Avowed and Elder Scrolls, are they similar? Like, I don't think so, but Shane told me they are, so, and again, it's because they're both the same type of genre, so I get it, but they're different settings. And so, is there original content? Is there original thought? What it comes down to is risk and reward. And if you have a formula that works for sure, it's easy to take the risk and make the game because you're going to get rewarded. If you don't have a formula that works, it's brand new IP. And I would say BioShock was like that. It was a brand new IP that, even though I said there's no original content, it was about the first BioShock, about the most original game I've ever played. It was like from a warped mind, and it was beautiful, and it just different, and everything about it was different and fun. That was frame breaking, and it doesn't happen that often. I have to say the first Assassin's Creed was kind of like that. Like, again, stealthy, and it was kind of like Splinter Cell meets, Old Jerusalem meets, what do they call it, the Animus. It was really interesting, but it just was different, but I would not say Fallout was original. It was derivative, and I don't think Elder Scrolls is original at all. Totally derivative. So, I think that if you get really good creators, really talented developers, and you give them carte blanche, then Vince Zampella comes up with Titanfall, and it is derivative, but it's fun. And then the Titanfall team, please explain this to me, comes up with Apex Legends, which is, I think, derivative of Overwatch or any other, squad-based battle royale, but different characters. I don't even know how that came from that same team. Like, it's impressive. It's just different and impressive, but derivative. But again, it's that you had a bunch of gamers who create games, who liked playing other games, who found things they liked in the other game and said, let's put that in our game. And that's how you get the iteration. And so please tell me the difference between Tekken and Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. And if you play them all, you can spend hours and you can explain a billion differences to me, but they're all the same game. But by different creators. And I would say every romantic comedy is the same game. Boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back at the end. But they're all fun. So I think you let developers create, and I think the guys who want to work on Call of Duty sequels gravitate toward Call of Duty sequels, and the guys who want to work on spinning Star Wars differently and making Jedi Fallen Order, which was all new if you played it. I mean, I actually didn't know this until I saw Stig interviewed after the game was out, And he said, we created every single character, because I don't actually know, I don't live in the Star Wars universe. So like stuff like Andor, like I know Andor is part of the Star Wars universe. I know the Mandalorian is part of it, but they're just small parts that turned into TV shows. I thought Stig was working with small parts, and it was like, no, we created all this. That's cool. So, and I know Gary Whitta. Gary Whitta wrote Rogue One. You should read the story of Rogue One. Rogue One is between episode 3 and 4, episode 4 being the first Star Wars movie, and they blow up the Death Star. I hate to ruin it for you. But episode 3, they hadn't created the Death Star yet, and Gary gets to bridge that gap. And I think it took him 2 years to write the story, and he lived at LucasArts, in San Francisco in the Presidio, and he immersed himself, and he read everything ever written by all the Star Wars books and everything, and immersed himself, and they came up with that story. And that's really cool. So is Gary creative, or is it derivative? That's, man, but Disney allowed that to happen, and that was really cool. And for real, yes, I'm friends with Gary Whitta. My favorite Star Wars movie, by a lot. I just thought everything about it was great, and I don't want to ruin it for you, but Gary couldn't let any of the characters in it make it into 4, because his job was that they didn't, so they died. Like, that's cool. Like, how frame breaking to make a Star Wars movie where everybody dies. That was cool. So again, just a brilliant bridge of a gap that where the parameters were set, and he didn't have carte blanche, but he did. Like, do that with games. Oh my God, what we're gonna get. So the answer is, we constantly get new IP, and I gotta say, I find Grand Theft Auto games derivative, but my God, the missions aren't. They're different, and I think there are so many good creators out there. It's only going to get better. I think there are however many people there are that actually work in the games industry creating 100,000. There will be 200,000 in 10 years and 500,000 in 20 years. It's getting bigger, not worse. And so as a consumer, you can influence this by buying new creative IP instead of sequels. But the answer to your question is, the industry is focused on profits, because profits fund the next project. And the really good companies, Take-Two is one of them, they allow things like BioShock to thrive. They publish the Outer Worlds. Microsoft buys Obsidian after the Outer Worlds and makes Avowed. And I'm not going to tell you that the Obsidian guys are the most creative, best studio that ever lived, but that game's going to be good. You talk about Joseph Ferris, Shane did in a prior episode. It's like, It Takes Two is a creative, different game. Was Left 4 Dead derivative, or was it creative? It was a 4-person co-op, but it was just really super creative. And the idea, like the way the team moved and the way the team fought, and it was really good. And the AI in that game was incredible. But it was just like every other game you ever played, except not. Right? Was Portal creative? My God. And it's just simple game mechanics. But what a creative game. So if I had to pick like my favorite studio of all time, it's Valve by a lot. Like everything, even Team Fortress, which I freaking hate, is a great game. Dota is a great game. They are, and I know they're not all the same developers as Valve with a bunch of different studios. They're so good. And is Dota just like, I don't know, League of Legends, or, it is. It's different, but it is. Is StarCraft derivative? Yes, it is. Is Warcraft derivative? Yes, it is. But they're unique and cool. So I don't think I don't think we're going creatively bankrupt at all. I mean, I hope that was a long-winded answer, but no. I think we're in the golden age of games. I think it gets better and better. I think we get Starfield. And I think I'm really happy. But do I want Witcher 4? Yes. By the way, that game will have sex. Thank you guys for joining us on Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. We are hopeful that you are a Patreon patron or you are a YouTube subscriber. And if you are, thank you. We appreciate the support. That's helping Shane keep coming out here and producing these things. If you are a Prime member, please link your Prime account, Amazon Prime, to your Twitch Prime account. You have to do that monthly, but we get paid and you get the content real time. It costs you nothing. Amazon pays for it because they value your Prime membership. The instructions for that are in the show description. If you are doing none of those things because you're too lame to figure it out, you're probably too lame to follow me on Twitter as well, but I could use an extra 5 followers. So at Michael Pachter on Twitter, please.